Was meant to go on LBC this evening. In fact, I rung in about 2-3 minutes into the programme, and they said pretty much straight away that I was going to be allowed on to talk to Nigel Farage. And the point I was going to make is something that nobody's mentioned today, and I just find it absolutely fascinating that nobody has mentioned it. It's with regards to what happened in Catalonia yesterday. Absolutely appalling violence going on. Was it up to 700 people really badly hurt by a paramilitary side of the police force based in Spain. So not the Catalonian police. Apparently they were defending people who wanted to vote, but the paramilitary side that's basically governed by or controlled by Madrid. Now, the point I was going to make was that in 2014 there was a military coup against the democratically elected government in Ukraine. Now, this democratically elected government in the Ukraine was, it's corrupt, an unpleasant group, but they were democratically elected. If, the people of the Ukraine weren't satisfied with that, they should have asked for external help from NATO, UN, or appealed to the EU for help, or even had some form of elections to oust the controlling government. This didn't happen. They opposed the controlling government by military means. The democratically elected head of state was ousted, and the European Union and the European Commission applauded the Ukrainian people for ousting what was seen to be a corrupt leadership. And again, it's worth mentioning, this wasn't done via democratic means. European Commission praised it. Various plenaries in European Parliament praised the Ukrainian people for ousting a corrupt government, and a sequence of, the EU refers to them as grants, but a sequence of monetary input, shall we say, was put into the Ukraine, and in an effort to tempt the Ukrainian to join the European Union at some point in the not too distant future. Obviously not an EU member state. You then look at what happened in Catalonia yesterday, and you've got the Vice President of the European Commission saying the following: "Today we have witnessed the nationalistic propaganda act, undemocratic, a coup attempted against Spanish democracy, and so a coup against Europe." The Ukraine is in Europe, is it not? It's Eastern Europe, but it's in Europe. It was a democratically elected government. It was a military coup. And it was against the rules of Ukrainian democracy. So you have the Vice President of the European Commission denouncing an attempt by the democratically elected leaders in Catalonia to hold a peaceful demonstration. A large number of people really badly hurt. We've all seen the videos of people being stamped on and having themselves pulled out of polling stations by their hair. Pictures of people covered in blood. People of all ages. No condemnation from the European Commission. No condemnation from the European Parliament, apart from the likes of Nigel Farage, UKIP, and other Eurosceptic groups. The Labour Party are silent. Supposedly socialist Labour Party are silent. The Conservative Party, again, silent. I suppose they don't want to cause any ripples between the Spanish government and the UK. So in one instance you've got a military coup ousting a democratically elected leadership. They're not yet a European Union member state. So let's support the coup. Let's make sure that the leadership in Ukraine aren't too pro-Russian. Let's leave the door open for a further expansion into Eastern Europe, regardless of whether it interferes with with diplomatic relations or stabilisation in Eastern Europe. You've got an opportunity for the European Union to bring in another member state. Brilliant. But when it comes to the possibility of a member state fracturing, let's just denounce the democratic, peaceful people of all ages being governed by their democratically elected representatives in holding a referendum as being nationalists. Let's denounce them as being far right. Let's denounce them as being thugs. Let's look at the European Union TV stations and media outlets. Do you see any of them, showing pictures of young people being tugged by their hair? Do you see any of these media outlets showing the paramilitary groups from Madrid shooting their own population with rubber bullets? No. When there's a possibility that an EU member state could leave or fracture and part of it might leave, coincidentally the part that makes a large amount of its GDP for its country, let's quell any possibility of any kind of democracy. Let's denounce it as being nationalist. I give it a couple of days before they start throwing in words like far right. Let's just denounce that completely. Let's refuse that part of Spain its right to democracy, its right to choose. Let's bear in mind as well that since the EU referendum, the EU, the likes of Guy Verhofstadt, have been trying to encourage a form of nationalism in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, unification in Ireland. They've been trying to encourage further referendum in Scotland. They've even been trying to encourage talk of independence in Wales, a country that voted to leave the EU. So in one instance we have the EU talking up nationalism, unpleasantness, division. It's not what the people wanted. And then you look at the Ukraine. Aren't the people brave? The people who took up arms and removed a democratically elected government and leader. So what have we learned from this? In one instance, EU quite willing to overlook democratically elected leaders being removed by undemocratic means to open the door to further expansion in Europe for the European Union. In the other instance, can't have the possibility of an EU member state fracturing or leaving the EU. So let's just condemn it as being extreme. I've not heard anybody in the media today or yesterday talking about this, not drawing the parallel with the Ukraine. Why is that? Like I said, I phoned up LBC a couple of minutes into their programme. What I said to them, appealed to them. They wanted to get me on, and then suddenly I started being shoved back calls. So I was told I'll be on after the next caller. 15 minutes later, 3 callers have been on, and the person came on, said you'll be on next. So okay, fine. The next caller was on, and then it was a break. So the person backing up the programme, supporting Nigel Farage in the room, said we'll call you back after the break. So I said, fine, yeah. Hung up. Got a call back. Another 10 minutes passed. Oh, we're going to try and call you back again later. That's fine, okay. Hung up again. Didn't get another call back. Numerous calls after that. 3/4 of the callers were hostile to what Farage had said in support of Catalonia and against the Spanish aggression. So I wasn't allowed on. Nobody's made these points, and it annoys me because we all know what's going to happen. Give it a week and a half, Catalonia's referendum will be ignored. They won't get another opportunity for any kind of independence, and it will all be forgotten. Just bear in mind, Catalonia have been waiting for independence for over 300 years. Going back way before Franco. But we live in a democratic Europe, don't we? So let's just ignore it. Let's not say anything. Well, I'll say very quickly, I'd like to see UKIP supporting further independence movements in Europe, because I think that the European Union are that dangerous. European army overlooking military action against member states' own populations, and further pushes for expansion in the east, which is only going to encourage Russia into military action. The EU now has to be opposed. It needs to be taken down. We need to go back to just a free trade area. And I'll also say, whatever government we have in this country in the future needs to look into the possibility of creating a new free trade arena in Europe that has no political or membership fee element. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to support. And it's about time the media started talking about real anti-democracy in Europe, because I've had enough.